So one of the things that I have people communicate to me a lot, and happened to me, which is you get rocking and rolling, and this might not be as you're just starting, but once you're really moving from the first phase to the second phase to the third phase, which is you're not tire kicking anymore. I mean, you're cranking. You're measuring all your body fat. You're measuring everything you eat is monitored. You know exactly what you ate. You know all the numbers of the macros that you're consuming, and then some people just kind of hit walls. Some people have just they slow down. Maybe their fat loss is slowing down. Maybe there's some tweaks that they can make. What are some common pitfalls, mistakes people make, things they can tweak that you've seen?
I think the biggest pitfall people make is their expectations. They expect to lose a pound or two a day. And that's
forever.
That's just not
starting
realistic.
Immediately.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be like negative 45 pounds in a year, and it's just an unrealistic expectation. So I think that's the first pitfall that people have. So when you feel like you're not getting the gains anymore in any way, look at this.
Last interruption.
Larry?
And did you get anything to wipe off with?
I did.
Yeah,
we got
we
it taken
did.
care of. Very nice to meet
Bless
you.
you guys.
All right,
It's
we'll
good to
talk
meet
to
you
you.
too.
We'll talk
And
to you
if
soon.
the website thing falls apart, my wife does startups,
Okay.
and everything is almost virtually
Cool.
barter.
All right. I love it. I love
Good to
it.
see you. Keep ripping.
All right. That was Larry.
That's Larry.
All right. We were in the middle of a video. That's okay. We're going to make you famous. Yeah, interesting enough.
You're talking about pitfalls and expectations.
So that's the biggest thing is check your expectations. Be realistic here and focus on the things that make you feel good. But when you feel like things are slowing down, a couple common mistakes that people may make is number one, it can take anywhere from 3 days, 5 days to sometimes 2 weeks to get fat adapted, meaning your body to digest fat properly.
It gets used to it. Sometimes
Yeah.
people get bubble gut or get the Hershey squirts or whatever, right?
Yeah, what you said. So we got to get fat adapted, and then the next thing we need to do is get kind of ketone adapted, and that can take a phase, and your body can plateau through these phases. And so it's just a natural progression of your body getting used to ketone being its primary fuel source. We also are seeing people that are actually gaining lean mass and losing
Right.
body fat, so they're not losing weight.
Right.
So here they're looking better, they're feeling better, but they're mad that the scale hasn't changed.
Right.
It's just a flawed system, right?
Right. It's like measuring your height in pounds. It ain't going to get you anywhere. Or measuring your weight in inches. It's not going to work. So you almost have to know what you almost have to be cognizant of what you're measuring, and don't just measure what the scale says. There's a lot of other measurements that you can
Absolutely.
measure.
Yeah.
Inches, pounds, belt sizes, energy levels, ketone levels in your system, glucose level. There's all kinds of measurements.
Exactly. Sleep,
Right.
energy of output, workout, how strong you are in the gym. So all these variables matter. So kind of like you're not going to measure cardiac arrest by only one measurement. You're going to measure
Right.
a lot of variables and decide if it's working or not.
Right.
So the first thing I want you to check out is your caloric intake. If you're
Right.
eating more calories than you're taking in, and even then we can still probably lose weight if your fat's high enough. But just check that. Look at your caloric intake, and if you're eating way too much food, then that's an issue.
That's the number one thing. Somebody literally hit me today, and she goes, I'm taking keto twice a day. I had breakfast, I had lunch, I had dinner, I had a snack. I'm like, how did you eat so much food, dude?
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? It was lunchtime, so I ate lunch. And I go, well, were you hungry? Well, I guess not really. Because she just had her keto. I had another guy drinking his keto with his meal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like ordering a meal and then ordering another meal and wolfing them down at the same time. It's just, so
Yeah.
maybe speak to that a little bit.
I will. So consider your native coffee or your fat tea. Consider that a meal. Consider your keto a meal. Consider fat bombs a meal. So consider all those as meals, and so you're not going to put a meal on top of another meal.
Right.
And so I really only want you to eat when you're hungry. Now the challenge here is that some people will plateau because they're actually not eating enough fats.
Right.
And so they actually reduce their calories so far that they're actually in a protective mode
Right.
for almost like a starvation ketosis,
Right.
which you had actually experienced
No, I
for a
went
little
through
short
it.
amount of time.
And as soon that what happened is that before I added fat coffee to my regimen, I was getting into starvation ketosis because I just wasn't eating.
Yep.
So what happens then is you'll start eating your muscles. Your body will start eating muscles, right?
Exactly.
Which is what most diets do.
Mm-hmm.
They just cut your calories, fill you with fillers so you're not hungry, and your body will actually eat its own biceps before it would eat its own fat off its butt.
Exactly. So it's in survival mode. We don't want that. We don't want to push survival mode. We can play with that from time to time, but in short windows. So,
But really, increasing the fats in that instance would be...
exactly, as long as your carbohydrates are low enough. So if you're that person that thinks they should be having 50, 60 grams a day, and you've always need to lose weight, most likely you're more around 20 to 30 grams a day of net carbs. And so bring those carbohydrates back down and drive your fat intake back up. And then I think the last plateau buster that I would consider from a dietary perspective is protein. If you're over-consuming protein because you think you need to
Which
eat
is
more
super
and more
common.
protein. It's very, very common. So reduce that protein down and see what happens. and you just got to tweak the ratios a little bit.
Which
But-
is different for every person, right? Everybody's
Absolutely.
numbers, like, everybody's numbers are different, and it's a moving. Like for me, what I needed 2 months ago and what I need today, two totally different numbers. Because I've lost about 44 pounds. Everything's different physically. Everything's different. My energy level's different. Everything's different.
Yep.
So what I needed then and what I need now are two totally different numbers. So people have got to sort of like a Rubik's Cube, just tweak it. That's the fun thing about kind of this whole biohacking, the allure of being superhuman is tapping into what's already inside of all of us to really become the best that we can be. The whole idea of being better, that's really what it's about. It's the acquisition of better. It's the approach or the attainment of being better that I think this whole story is built around. Like you already have it in your system. We just have to tap into it. We have to pull it out of people. You know what I'm saying?
And and to add to that is, if you have more than one or two things that you can say is positive of being on the diet and the product, if you're sleeping better, if your relationship is improved, if your mood's changed, your clarity's focused, or better, energy's better, your workout's improved. If you have more than two things that are positive, and you look at a scale and you have any emotional reaction whatsoever, if you even have the littlest sign of like discomfort or negativity about the scale, throw the damn scale away.
Get rid of it.
It's not worth it, because that in itself causes cortisol release,
Right.
which is a stress hormone that prevents us from losing weight.
Right.
So it goes back into survival mode. So actually the scale is costing you to survive
It's causing you
and
to not
causing
go
you not to
down.
lose weight. So get rid of that. Focus on the things that are good. Focus on your pant size. Focus on your life.
Your
And
energy,
The
your
diet
attitude.
works. The product works. So that's not the question.
Yeah.
So ultimately, make those little adjustments, bust through those plateaus. And the only other thing I could note to that is working out. I've had a couple people call me that actually work out pretty intensely, and they actually grew quite muscular. I had a woman that she's like, yeah, I've gotten buff. Hasn't lost weight at all, got buff. And she was actually pretty cool about it. She was kind of like, yeah, I kind of like it. But most women that call me and that happens, they get disappointed that they didn't lose weight.
Right.
So just keep that in mind, is that, I have some people like, hey, cut back on your resistance training just a little bit if
Right.
that's important to you. Work out once or twice a day, get out and do some long walks and allow yourself to lean out that way.
A couple other caffeine and dairy, cover those in a sec. But
Okay.
I think one thing people need to check is their attitude. I mean, somebody's on the product 5 days and they're frustrated. It's like, are you insane?
Yeah.
I mean, get rid of the frustration. It's not going to help you at all. That's probably why most people are where they are, because they get frustrated too easily. You should never be frustrated. It's almost like whoever invented the light bulb, what was that guy's name? Who failed
Mr.
10,000,
Edison.
yeah, Thomas Edison. So he failed like 10,000 times, and he finally, or maybe it was electricity, I don't remember.
Light
But,
bulb, yeah.
but he failed 10,000 times, and he goes, man, I didn't think of it as 10,000 fails. He goes, I felt like it was 10,000 things that didn't work, so I was that closer to the thing that did work. So here, if people are having a challenging time, it's usually them. I mean, look, the program works, just flat out works. It's usually people's own barriers in their own brain that prevent them from really making the tweaks. You ask somebody, hey, I haven't lost any weight, I haven't did this or done that, and you go, well, have you tried this? No, I'm not going to do that. Have you done this? No, I'm not going to do that. Have you done this? No, I'm not going to do that. So you have to check your attitude, and you have to check your willingness, like check your pulse of how interested you really are for change.
Yep.
How interested are you really in being the best you can be? And every single day, can you ask yourself, am I doing what I need to do in order to get better? Have an honest conversation with yourself. And if you aren't, then that's on you. That's not on the product or this eating regimen or this diet or this lifestyle. Just just kind of check yourself on, am I doing what I need to do? But don't beat yourself up about it. Get excited. I did that. I got excited about it. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it's working.
But see, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is something positive.
Yeah.
If the first thing you say is something negative, then it's you, that you're in your own way. So get out of your own way. Get involved into our community and let us kind of help you along the way. And we can't feed you. We can't make you walk, and we can't make you take the product. But you have to
Right.
you have to do something for yourself.
Right.
So I think those are big factors. Plateaus they're going to happen. That's okay.
Right.
So focus on what's working and let your body naturally change.
I love it. Well, and keep your expectations dialed in, and let's fight through it. Let's kick some butt and have a blast.